Welcome to Cuba. Located in the heart of the Caribbean, this island nation is famous for its vibrant culture, rich history, and stunning landscapes. But beyond the beaches and classic cars, Cuba is a fascinating country with a unique blend of people, politics, and traditions. Let's start by exploring Cuba's diverse geography. Cuba is the largest island in the Caribbean, stretching over 42,000 square miles, and it's surrounded by over 4,000 smaller islands and cays. The island is known for its tropical climate, pristine beaches and dramatic landscapes like the Viñales Valley, famous for its limestone hills called mogotes. Nature lovers can explore Cuba's numerous national parks, including Alejandro de Humboldt National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage site home to rich biodiversity, including the Cuban trogon, the national bird of Cuba. Cuba's population stands at about 11.2 million people, and it's incredibly diverse. The largest group is of mixed heritage, making up about 26% of the population. About 64% are of European descent, mainly from Spanish ancestors, while around 9% are Afro-Cubans, descendants of African slaves. There's also a small but significant community of Asian Cubans, primarily Chinese, whose ancestors came to Cuba as indentured laborers in the 19th century. Together, these groups create a unique cultural blend, reflected in everything from music to cuisine. When it comes to language, Spanish is the official and most widely spoken language in Cuba. The Cuban dialect of Spanish has a rhythmic and fast-paced tone, influenced by Afro-Cuban and Caribbean roots. While English is spoken in tourist areas, especially in Havana and Varadero, most locals speak only Spanish. Knowing some basic Spanish phrases will go a long way in communicating with the Cuban people and making your experience richer. Cuba's religious landscape is just as diverse as its people. Roman Catholicism is the dominant religion, with about 60 to 70% of Cubans identifying as Catholic. However, many people also practice Santeria, an Afro-Cuban religion that combines Catholicism with the traditional beliefs of the Yoruba people of West Africa. Santeria plays an important role in everyday Cuban life, with its rituals, music and dances woven into the fabric of the culture. Other faiths practiced in Cuba include Protestantism, Islam, Judaism, and various Afro-Caribbean religions. Cuba has a rich and turbulent history. The island was originally inhabited by the Taino and Chiboney indigenous peoples before it was colonized by Spain in the 16th century. Cuba remained a Spanish colony for over 400 years, until the Cuban War of Independence in 1898, which, with the help of the United States, resulted in Cuba gaining formal independence in 1902. However, political instability and US influence persisted until Fidel Castro's revolution in 1959, which established the first socialist state in the Western Hemisphere. Since then, Cuba has remained under communist rule, first with Fidel, and then with his brother Raúl Castro, followed by the current president Miguel Díaz-Canel. Cuba is governed by a socialist state, with the Cuban Communist Party as the only legal political entity. The Cuban Constitution defines the country as a Marxist-Leninist socialist republic, and the economy is largely state-controlled. However, in recent years, there have been significant economic reforms, allowing for more private businesses and foreign investment. Despite these changes, Cuba remains heavily influenced by its revolutionary past, with a focus on state welfare programs in healthcare, education and housing. One of Cuba's greatest achievements is its education system. After the revolution, Fidel Castro made education a top priority, leading to Cuba's 99.8% literacy rate, one of the highest in the world. Education is free at all levels, and the country boasts a strong focus on science, technology and the arts. Cuba's universities, especially the University of Havana, are renowned across Latin America. The government also promotes international educational exchanges, with many students from other countries studying in Cuba, particularly in the fields of medicine. Cuba is famous for its universal healthcare system, which provides free medical services to all citizens. Despite the country's economic difficulties, Cuba has managed to maintain a world-class healthcare system with a strong emphasis on preventative care. Cuban doctors are highly respected internationally, and the country has sent medical brigades around the world to assist in global health crises. Cuba also has its own pharmaceutical industry and has developed vaccines, including those for COVID-19. However, access to advanced medical equipment can be limited due to the ongoing Cuba's cities are like stepping into a living museum. The colonial architecture of places like Old Havana and Trinidad is a reminder of the island's Spanish past. Havana's streets are filled with colorful buildings, ornate balconies and majestic plazas, many of which are UNESCO World Heritage sites. In contrast, the newer parts of Havana feature Soviet-style apartment blocks, a testament to Cuba's ties with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. The iconic Malecón, Havana's seaside boulevard, is a gathering place for locals and tourists alike, offering breathtaking views of the city and the sea. Music and dance are the heartbeats of Cuba. The country's cultural contributions to the world are enormous, with genres like son, salsa, rumba and jazz emerging from Cuban rhythms. Musicians like Buena Vista Social Club and Celia Cruz have brought Cuban music to global audiences. Dance is just as important, with salsa, mambo and cha-cha-cha originating here. Cuba is also home to a thriving art scene, with Havana's art galleries and the annual Havana Biennial drawing artists and art lovers from around the world. No trip to Cuba is complete without experiencing its delicious cuisine. Cuban food is a blend of Spanish, African and Caribbean influences. Some must-try dishes include ropa vieja, which is shredded beef, tostones or fried plantains, and moros y cristianos, a combination of rice and black beans. Street food is also popular, with vendors offering everything from croquetas to freshly pressed sugarcane juice. And of course, Cuba is famous for its rum and cigars, key exports that are a huge part of the country's cultural identity. Cuba's economy has been heavily shaped by the US embargo, which has been in place since the 1960s. The embargo restricts trade between Cuba and the US, making it difficult for Cuba to import goods and access international markets. As a result, Cuba relies heavily on tourism, remittances from Cubans living abroad, and limited trade partnerships with other countries. In recent years, there have been economic reforms allowing for more private businesses, particularly in the tourism and hospitality sectors. Cuba is a country with a rich cultural heritage, shaped by its unique political system, diverse population, and long history of resilience. From its colonial past to its revolutionary present,